Hello, my name is Tobias Young Greis. It's nice to be with you today. First, I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll talk about romance, which happens to be my absolute favorite subject. I have a degree in family counseling and therapy. I did some marriage counseling. I give parenting courses. I've done, thankfully, a bunch of interesting things in my lifetime. I've been blessed. I've written a few books which have been published. I have published humor in some of the magazines like Saturday Evening Post. I've done commercials. I've done modeling. I'm a veterinarian. And I sing in a barbershop quartet. And all that adds up to my background, which has nothing to do with my favorite subject, which I'm going to talk about today, which is romance. And romance is for every age. You could be a newlywed and be a romantic, but I want to talk more about after you've been married 10, 20, 30, 40 years, or 50 years, and just all the fun you can have, because your wife is your best investment. She's your pal for a whole lifetime. She's your buddy. She's somebody to share good times with and sad times with. You each give each other strength. There's nothing better in the whole world than to march through life with a buddy right by your side. And she will raise your children for you with your help, if you're home. She will keep a wonderful home atmosphere for you. She will, again, help you with relationships, which usually most women are better than men are. Men, forgive me, men. In any event, again, there's nothing better than to share with a pal your whole lifetime. And that's what this is all about. So I'm supposed to talk about summertime romantic ideas, or middle-aged romantic ideas. But first I want to go through certain principles which are important about marriage itself and the marriage contract and the understanding and expectations of marriage, because that underlies everything. That's what makes you tick. That's what you think of when you wake up in the morning. And I hope everybody listening wakes up in the morning and gives his wife a wake-up kiss. And before you go to sleep at night, you give your wife a goodnight kiss. And you make sure you never forget that. That's your little contract together. Okay, so let's talk about marriage itself. I'm going to go through some just general basics, not too long, because I want to get to the romantic stuff. And forgive me if I keep repeating that this is my favorite subject. Okay, first of all, marriage is a lifetime contract. If it's having problems, and there is no marriage without problems, you get some help. You get some help quickly. There is no out. You can't exchange your mother if you don't like your mother or if you're having problems. Your wife is a lifetime buddy. Think of it as a lifetime contract. So if you have problems, you have to fix it. And you can fix it on different levels. You can talk it out yourself if you're good friends and issues come up. And you can talk with your spiritual leaders if they can help you with that. You can talk to friends, relatives. And if you still need more expert professional help, get guidance from a professional therapist, a marriage therapist. And there are all therapists out there. And you find the therapist that's good for you and your wife, where you have a rapport with them. Sometimes you may have to go to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different therapists, because until you can find someone who meets with your mind and understands what you're both saying and really tries to help, and you have a good rapport with, then you can get yourself some good professional help. But the thing is, don't give up. Don't say, well, if I can't talk to my wife, I'll talk to my bowling buddies. And if she says, if he's always at work and he's a workaholic and he doesn't have any time for me, I'll call up my neighbor. I'll go out to lunch with my neighbor and I'll tell my neighbor all my problems. You don't want the solution to come from outside. You want the solution to come from within your marriage, because that's why you got married. And it's, as I say, it's a lifetime contract. It's a thrilling to have the privilege of being married to someone. Because, again, you want to giggle through life. And again, don't get too old too fast. It's okay to giggle throughout your life, to have pals, to skip down the street, to skip down a country lane, to walk along a stream. And I'm going to talk about streams a few times today, probably. but you want to have that close feeling. And anything that you have to share with should be first with your wife. Okay, I want to give you some general principles. Again, you want to become best friends. You can't have an argument and say, you know, we haven't talked to each other in 4 days. You want to be best friends, and you have to work to have a best friend. Work every single day. And you know, I always say my wife adjusts something about me every day. I happen to be a woman sympathizer, so you'll forgive me. Men are built for war, for ball playing, for being figureheads, for leading the family, for taking care of the finances of the family. Women are into relationships. And so you each can learn from one another. A man, you know, in a couple, in a marriage, you want to teach each other your strengths. A man can teach his wife all about his finances. So that's important. And a woman can teach her husband about relationships, relatives, friends, neighbors, things that come up, community things, situations. Absolutely, you should be teaching each other from your strengths. So I really emphasize that. Also, don't settle. Supposing you say, well, we got a pretty good marriage, but we have some problems. But what the heck, you know, we're getting through it, and you know, the kids are growing up, and things are working out. Don't settle. You shoot for the top. You shoot for the best. Okay? So remember that, a very, very important principle. And again, for the women again, if your husband is not coming through for you, you're not getting to him, he's not understanding what you're trying to say, you teach him. Don't test him. It's a little catchy phrase, but it means you spell it out for him. And don't test him saying, oh, if he really loved me, if he's really a wonderful guy, he would know exactly what I mean, exactly what I feel. Don't go by that. You spell it out for him. I know a woman who spent 20 years waiting for her first Mother's Day card. And she couldn't believe it. You know, well, her friends got Mother's Day cards. In her home she grew up, her mother got a Mother's Day card. It never occurs to her husband to go out and get a card. So again, instead of waiting and being disappointed every year, teach him. Say, honey, you know, I would love to get a Mother's Day card. And he'll say, okay, honey, all right, I'll try to make, I'll try to pick one up. They're sold in greeting card stores? Yeah, okay. So once she has taught him, then the first time she gets a card from him, she should give him some positive reinforcements and say, honey, you got me a Mother's Day card. I can't believe that's wonderful. Thank you so much. And make a big fuss to, again, give positive reinforcement to what he had done, something for the first time. And again, of course, you just told him about it 2 days ago to get you a card, so it isn't such a big, brilliant thing that he did. But again, you make a big fuss. And it's very nice. When you get really romantic birthday cards, speaking about, or Mother's Day cards, in the section which has the more romantic ones and the best messages that you really want to share with one another, they're way in the back. Nobody will bump you, you know, to get past you. You find that little place in the back and you pick out the prettiest message, the most wonderful message to touch the soul of your soul mate. You get right in there. Okay, more general principles. Marriage is learning on the job. Well, can I tell you something? How do we get into marriage? I took no courses in high school or college on expectations in marriage, obligations, what I'm supposed to be doing. How do I know how to communicate? I absolutely, was totally unprepared. I had to learn on the job, which is terrible. You know, to become a, an assistant sanitation inspector, you have to take some courses for a couple of months and get a certificate. To get any kind of work, official or anything unofficial, you have to get a job and a certificate or a diploma or something. To go into marriage, which could be a 60, 70-year contract, nothing's required. You just say, well, he's cute and she's cute, let's get married. So it's got to be deeper than that. It's a very complex relationship. You have to learn how to communicate. You have to learn how to listen. Listening is one of the toughest skills in the whole world. Just how to listen, to absorb not only the message that your mate gives you, but the feeling behind the message. What is the feeling coming through? And that's called active listening, where you're, again, trying to, it isn't like, you know, you don't like the orange juice this morning? That question, let's say from your wife to a husband, is not about the orange juice. It means that maybe he's looking out of sorts. Or, you know, what's going on? Is any problem that you're waking up this morning, or you came home from work yesterday? So let's talk about it. So again, active listening and communicating feelings. You know, men historically were used to not sharing feelings. You know, you hold it in. I never saw a man cry, I don't think, until I went to the movies. I'm not sure, a man is not supposed to cry. And a man is not supposed to show feelings. Sometimes, it used to be years ago a sign of weakness. So a woman, by her sharing and teaching and saying, honey, what's going on? What's going on at work? You look very tense coming home. What's going on between you and your son? You're you know, stabbing each other with words recently. What's happening? So again, share these feelings and learn how to communicate, and there are a lot of skills. And if you don't know these skills, there are courses given on every single skill that I'm talking about. Listening, talking, teaching, everything. Sharing. They're given at all the schools. Of course, these courses are given after you got married. So it's b'diavad, if I can say that. So again, so remember, that's another thought. And get to know everything about each other. Now, you know, men and women can have separate lives and separate hobbies and separate everythings. But still, let's say my wife wants to take courses. Great. I don't want to smother you. You take courses. And I'll help you. As a matter of fact, you're my best friend, so I'll encourage you. I'll do carpool that day. Take care of the kids. I'll drive you there. I'll make sure. I'll register for you. You go ahead. And you have fun. And as it isn't as though you can't have lives expanding, which I think is a good thing. Expand your lives, but the requirement is you must share them. In other words, if my wife would take courses, or I would take courses on something new, I become a more interesting person, and I can share that with my mate. Again, but I become a more interesting person, but you have to share everything. You want to know everything going on. You want to know how your wife or your husband spend your whole day. And you write it down. If some interesting things happen, or conversations, or issues that came up, you want to share them. You know, I burst into the house at night and I have 100 things to say. You know, things that happen, nothing seems to happen easily. You can't go from here to buy a quart of milk without 6 things happen on the way home or going there. So you want to share the little things that happen in little events. And as far as, again, I'm a women's sympathizer. Sorry, men. If you take care of one woman, you give her positive reinforcements, and you give her encouragement, and you give her praise, and you give her affection and encouragement and thanks. That if you do that for her, she'll take care of the rest of the world for you. She really will. She'll bring up her children, your children. She'll have a wonderful home. She'll take care of your relatives. She'll send out greeting cards to all your relatives that you should have been doing all this time. So you just take care of her, and she could do everything by herself. All she needs is you behind her, encouraging her. It's like that flower in the desert. It needs a little water, a little fertilization, a little sun, and then it stands high and tall. And that's what your wife will do. Okay, so we talked about general things. Another thing about being married is it's a lifetime of giving. My gosh, it's giving. Giving is the best joy. The person who gives a gift, or gives a praise, or gives a thanks, is a person has a wonderful life. The donor gets more. You know, if I get myself, my wife, a watch or something, she'll beam over the watch. How'd you know what kind I wanted? Well, you know, you told me yesterday. But still, so she is so thrilled. But you are the donor. You gave it. You gave it. And that thrill of giving, that chesed, is something that it's impossible to know how much it is worth. That's why people spend their whole lives giving chesed, or giving charity, or giving help, or Bika Cholim, or all the many different ways of giving. Within the marriage, you be the one to give as much as you can. Never stop. Okay, just a few general things. I want to talk about summertime romantic things. And it doesn't have to be, I'll mention a couple of things about wintertime also. Again, first of all, you go out with your wife. You don't, and you're in the summertime and you're going to walk along a stream and see what develops in a beautiful countryside on a breezy, mild day. Don't take along your cell phone. Don't take along your laptop. Don't connect to anything. You are there alone. In this electronic age, everybody's got something connected every second to reality. Don't do that. Leave them home. Again, and there's so many wonderful things. My first choice of what to do during the summertime, by the way, if you want a romantic idea, nobody's going to want to do it. But I've been doing it for 25 years, and it's camping. And you say, camping? You know, when I first heard about camping, I said, I can't go camping. My wife says, why can't we go camping? Like all my friends go, the teachers, you know, they're off during the summer. They go camping throughout the summer. I said, camping? I don't like bugs. I don't like too much heat. I don't like other people's children. I don't like bears. You know, who wants, what's the matter with a motel or something like that? So so she took me into it. Of course, you know, within a month I had bought her a tent for Mother's Day. And to this day, we share camping. We go almost every single week of the summer on an overnight. And we go to shows at night. And she cooks me at night my salmon over the fire. And then for breakfast, I have French toast made of cut up challah that we bring along and egg beaters. And we have the best time going camping together. We are good friends. And at night, we go to the shows. During the daytime, there are all sorts of you know, warm weather ideas to enjoy. But again, I wrote a book, How to Be an Even Greater Husband. How to Be an Even Greater Husband. And it's available at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. But in any event, what it says at the end of the chapter on camping, never, and I repeat, never bring anybody else along. Don't go with all your buddies. Don't go with this one and that one and bring along 6 cousins. Go yourselves. It's like sleepaway camp. You and your wife go together, enjoy it together. Okay, you're best buddies, and there's nothing more romantic. You'll know. You'll tell me if I'm right. Okay, go on nature walks. There's so many things around. Just expand. Buy the entertainment section of your local newspaper. There are fruit orchards. There are waterfalls. There are fish hatcheries. There are petting zoos. There are parks. You're never too young. Don't age yourself so fast. Be young. These are all you can say, well, I bring my children to a petting zoo. No, you go. You go. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. And also, by the way, speaking about romance, review when you go walking down a stream on a nice mild day, review with your wife your first date. What was it like? What were you each thinking? What did it feel like? It brings back, you want to be kids. You want to keep the flame alive and going and strong. I am married almost, next year it'll be 50 years, thank God. And we have, thank God, been blessed with romance, which is increasing. And we work on it constantly, and there's nothing like it. So I hope you will follow, get some of my recommendations. Go boating or a river cruise. And again, if you just want to sit in a nice warm place, sit by the shore, review your life together, dreams to be fulfilled, trips to take, unfinished plans. And you talk about, you know, any problem relationships that are going on with relatives or things like that. And remember that any problem that your wife might have or a dream becomes your problem. You understand? You want it to be your problem. She's your best friend. So if she is working on a relationship with a relative, you be right in there. You encourage the visits. You encourage the visits each way. You bring out the good points about that relative. You don't beat anybody down. You want to be her friend and encourage closeness. So say, I have no time to visit your uncle. You know, I'm a busy man. No, you go. When can we go? I want to go with you, honey. You tell me when. Okay, so again, encourage her relationships. And you can collect wildflowers. It's wonderful. And you play games. You can make up games. You know, you sit and watch birds, and you remember you have that bird book with all those funny names, a warbler or something like that. And you see the one who wins the contest, the one who has the most clever name. And I happen to think that I won. I admit I won this past summer. I made up the game, a yellow-bellied pebble picker, which means absolutely nothing. But it's, anyway, we had some fun. Again, if your wife is not into sports, teach her a sport. If you're not into sports, let her teach you. I mean, I know somebody who's lost her husband a couple of days a week during the mild weather. He was out, he'll be back, 9 o'clock tonight. He's playing 16 holes and a little drinks and a little chit-chat, and a couple of days a week she loses him. So this woman finally wised up, belatedly, and she learned how to play golf. And she says she took lessons. He encouraged her, and now they go together. And it is so wonderful, and it's so wonderful. They go golfing together, and you can play tennis together. Again, teach her a sport that you can share, and tennis is another sport that you can share a whole lifetime, absolutely. And one caveat, do not play against each other for blood. I've seen couples going out on a tennis court, and they want to beat each other's brains out. What is that? She's your best friend. You root for her, beating you. You really want her to win. You want her to be happy. You want her to get satisfaction. You want her to get exercise. Don't fight each other on the court. It's I know you keep score, but again, root for your mate. And again, there's summer theater. There are outdoor concerts. There's summer school. They have summer courses. So again, there's so many ideas. But again, get yourself a local paper and look up all the different things. And they have so many things, art fairs and craft fairs, more than you have time for. And again, do it together. Hold hands. Hold hands. Again, your buddies, your best friends. And during the wintertime, I'll just mention, you'll have, ice skating, you have sledding, so many outdoor things. My wife, to this day, many years, we go sledding on our anniversary every single year. It's cheap, it's available, it's gorgeous, it's fun. You can make up all sorts of games doing it. You can have a couple of sleds. You can always pick up a sled at a flea market. They always have used sleds all over the place. You don't have to, it's a very available hobby. And again, if you go to a flea market and they want $3 for that sled, well, go over and have a little fun and offer them too. So in any event, you settle for one. Okay, in any event, enjoy all these things. Be kids. Root for each other. You go into a room at a meeting and the two of you attend a meeting. You look for 2 chairs, not for one. Because she is your buddy, your partner, your lifetime buddy. Again, I wrote a book on it. I told you how to be an even greater husband. I hope you all experience a wonderful romantic marriage together. And I wish you lots of mazel. You need a bracha from heaven, again, that we should all have good health and good financial times to be able to do it, because negatives can bring the best relationships down. So again, wake up in the morning and be thankful for every single day. Be thankful that your wife is such a good woman. Be thankful that she was born. Thank you. And sad times with. You each give each other strength. There's nothing better in the whole world than to march through life with a buddy right by your side. And she will raise your children for you with your help, if you're home. She will keep a wonderful home atmosphere for you. She will, again, help you with relationships, which usually most women are better than men are. Men, forgive me, men. In any event, again, hello, my name is Tobias Young Greis. It's nice to be with you today. First, I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll talk about romance, which happens to be my absolute favorite subject. I have a degree in family counseling and therapy. There's nothing better than to share with a pal your whole lifetime. And that's what this is all about. So I'm supposed to talk about summertime romantic ideas or, middle-aged romantic ideas. But first I want to go through certain principles which are important about marriage itself and the marriage contract and the understanding and expectations of marriage, because that underlies everything. That's what makes you tick. That's what you think of when you wake up in the morning. And I hope everybody listening, which has nothing to do with my favorite subject, which I'm going to talk about today, which is romance. And romance is for every age. You could be a newlywed and be romantic. But I want to talk more about after you've been married 10, 20, 30, 40 years, or 50 years, and just all the fun you can have, because your wife is your best investment. She's your pal for a whole lifetime. She's your buddy. She's somebody to share good times with. Marriage counseling. I give parenting courses. I've done, thankfully, a bunch of interesting things in my lifetime. I've been blessed. I've written a few books which have been published. I have published humor in some of the magazines like Saturday Evening Post. I've done commercials. I've done modeling. I'm a veterinarian. And I sing in a barbershop quartet. And all that adds up to my background.